This is the Tallahassee Business Podcast, brought to you by the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to our sponsor, 223 Agency, a digital relations firm helping you maximize and develop your digital footprint. Check them out on the web at 223agency.com. Without further ado, enjoy this episode of the Tallahassee Business Podcast.
Hey there, Tallahassee. Jay Revel here with another special edition of the Tallahassee Business Podcast. We are delighted to be coming to you today with another episode that's filled with information that you and your business need to know about what's going on here in Florida's capital city and what it means to be doing business here in Tallahassee. I've got two guests with us today. I think you're going to find this conversation to be really exceptional. We're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to all of our chamber hearts. That's talent here in our community and what it means to be trying to retain and train and advance one of Florida's most competitive workforces here in our community. So you may have heard, you may have seen, there's been some news coming out in our community. Last week, our Chamber of Commerce hosted our annual talent forum. And although it was virtual this year, we were pleased to have a great keynote speaker in Mark Wilson, the president and CEO of the Florida Chamber of Commerce. In addition to Wilson's great talk on the state of talent in Florida, our team also unveiled a new initiative called Talent 2030. And here to talk about that effort, we've brought in Terrie and Corey Melton to join us on the show this week. Terrie is the president and COO of Moor, and she chairs our talent committee. Corey is the Chamber's vice president of membership and talent development and has been spearheading our work here in this space. So I want to welcome both of you to the show. We're just delighted to have this conversation. I think it's one that people are really eager to hear about. First of all, welcome to the show. Thanks for all the hard work you've been doing. How are things going so far, you guys?
Thank you, Jay. It is a beautiful day here in our capital city and talking about our favorite topic, talent.
Appreciate being here, and we love talking about talent. So let's get this started.
Love it. Well, Terrie, let's jump in with you as the chair of our talent committee. Can you kind of set the scene for what our local and statewide workforce needs look like today?
Well, let's start first with the statewide scene, and I think that will feed beautifully into what we're experiencing locally in our region. So since March, with the first impacts of COVID-19, we know that 2.8 million Floridians have filed for unemployment benefits. They file with the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. 2.8 million, that is an unimaginable but real number. So this data shows the far-reaching health, social, and economic impact of the pandemic on Florida, our nation's third largest state. And in the wake of the COVID-19 impacts, we know that our work in bridging the talent gap is even more critical than ever before. We actually set out as a chamber over a year ago to focus more specifically on talent. And it's become more important than ever now with COVID-19. So we talk a lot about 2030, and Talent 2030 is our initiative. And you might be asking yourself, well, why 2030? Why is that year so important? And you have to focus on the fact that in just 9 years, Florida will need 1.5 million more jobs to remain competitive. And so what does that look like for our local community? The demand will be here in our region, 18,500 new jobs that we will need. And so when we think about talent, you have to look at this as not a workforce problem. We are not trying to solve workforce as a problem, but more trying to solve a skills gap problem. And that is exactly what Talent 2030 is looking to do.
No, that's great, Terrie. That's well said. You know, when you hear those numbers, sometimes they sound a little staggering, but we've got time, and as long as we're prioritizing this work and making it something that our entire community is focused on, I feel like, the opportunity for us to really move the needle there exists. And maybe to follow up, I know you've had a chance to work with our friends at the Florida Chamber quite a bit. What are they doing on this issue? What are we seeing that's happening on that statewide level?
Well, the Florida Chamber is carrying the torch on this for our entire state. And Mark Wilson, as you mentioned, the CEO and the great team that he leads, they are elevating our global competitiveness as a state by focusing on job creation and the 6 pillars of Florida's future economy. Now, those 6 pillars includes talent supply and education. So a big focus there, and you can look to read more about it in the Florida Chamber's 2030 blueprint. But I'll briefly speak to 2 other important initiatives that the Florida Chamber is focused on that I believe is important to our listeners here. And one is the Florida Chamber Safety Council, which also ties back to talent. So when you think about it as business leaders, we are all focused on employees as our most valuable asset. And how can we ultimately keep them safe, whether it's health and risk concerns with the pandemic and beyond? So as job creators, it is our mission to ensure Florida is the safest and healthiest state. So that's the Florida Chamber Safety Council in a nutshell. The second initiative I will mention certainly ties back to talent in a big way, and that is the Florida Chamber Prosperity Institute. And so this goal of the Prosperity Institute is to get individuals that have fallen on hard times back on their feet. I think we can all believe and champion that. Whether it's job loss or sudden illness, the focus is on greater opportunities for future generations. And when you look at the data, it says to us that nearly 1 in 7 Floridians living in poverty now are in our state. So our work with Talent 2030 is more critical than ever of how can we rise these individuals up by creating hope and a future in a job that they can be successful in. And one of our initiatives under Talent 2030 is Aspire. And there's been a lot of talk about Aspire in our community. It is a collective impact, and Corey Melton serves on this committee as well as my contributions there. But Aspire is a cross-section of our community representatives that are focused on post-secondary attainment. So when you look at this initiative, we are creating pathways for all students that are graduating high school. And all of this comes back to talent. So how can we create greater educational opportunities and create more jobs? And that way we make generational poverty a thing of the past. And we're all really focused on making the American dream a reality.
Corey, like Terrie was talking about there, you've been researching what other local chambers are doing all across the country. What are you seeing that's moving the needle out there?
Jay, I think we see a lot of different opportunities. None of them are things that we haven't heard of before, whether it's internship programs, apprenticeships, mentors. I think the biggest thing that a chamber brings to the table are the employers. And that's really what we were focusing on because that is who we serve as our members. But it was the employers that can really move the needle because these students need to see the connection between, wherever they land, whether it's just graduating high school or they're getting extra credentials or they're earning degrees. They need to see that connection between the education and the work they'll be doing, because not only does it then improve their education, but it does give them that hope and vision that Terrie just talked about, which, many of our students aren't as fortunate as others to have that. And so they really need somebody to show them that way. So chambers have been involved with education and talent development for years. And we are just super pleased that in Tallahassee, we are joining those forces as well.
On that note, Corey, you got accepted, and we're all very proud of you in the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Talent Pipeline Management Academy this year. Can you share some of what you learned in that experience and just really tell us what that program is all about?
Absolutely. In doing the research as to how we could be most effective as a chamber, what we could bring to the table, Actually, the talent pipeline management first came to me through one of the Florida Chamber reports. So that is where I first learned about it. This is a program of the U.S. Chamber. It's basically just a methodology as well as a platform for doing work that people have been doing, but maybe just it wasn't as solid and concrete. But it's basically taking the principles of supply chain management, which most of our businesses are very familiar with, and applying that to talent. So now as an employer collaborative, we'll bring together industry sectors. So in Tallahassee, we are starting first with the technology sector. We'll move second to healthcare, but our first technology sector will meet September 10th. And what we'll be looking at is, as a group, what are those pain points that we have in terms of talent? So it could be in terms of retention or recruiting or increasing diversity, any of those areas. And what are the jobs within that are most critical to our competitiveness? Then we're going to look at those jobs, and we're going to look at projections over the next 1 or 2 years. And then we're going to look at the credentials and what the employees need to come in to the business ready to do. Then we're going to look at where today we're getting our best talent from in those areas, and what can we do to co-create with our education and training providers what we need so that we've got the right number of students coming out with the right skills to meet the needs that are our most critical jobs and positions. So it's really just taking what we've kind of been doing and putting some very specific strategies to it. It's got a platform. It's all based on data gathered from the group, which makes it very exciting because it's not on projections or assumptions. It's based on facts coming from the employers themselves.
Jumping back to last week's talent forum, I'm thinking about, just sort of the comprehensive vision that you all laid out for our members. And maybe could you both sort of jump in and talk about what all the Talent 2030 initiative entails and maybe what you think that means for our broader community?
Sure. I'll start first, Jay. And, this is where we really get to the nuts and bolts of Talent 2030. What Corey just explained with our talent pipeline management program is an offering under Talent 2030. And the number one thing that our listeners need to understand about that program is that it is business driven. It is business and industry indicating what type of talent do they need, what skills do they need, and how do we all advance by getting that alignment right. You have the talent that is fulfilling the greatest needs in your company and helping you to do more and to succeed more. And by that, we will all see greater success. We also know that talent feeds into economic development. It is no longer about incentives that a community can offer to bring in new companies to provide more jobs. It is about the talent that is there. It is a number one selling point. So when you start to think about how talent is the driver, it is our quality of life in this community plus our talent pool that's truly driving the regional economic vitality. And so the opportunity we have as a chamber for this to be business driven is there is no other entity with 1,200 businesses all marching in the same direction and all working together to strengthen the pipeline of skilled workers and employers.
And I'll add a little bit to that too, because there are things, if you look at the whole spectrum, if you will, of talent, everything from, starting with, the prosperity work that we will be working on, so pre-K all the way through elementary. If you look at the work of the Talent Hub program that we have launched as part of Talent 2030, that really connects, the high school with the employers up into post-secondary, whether you're at the, a TCC or a Lively or just getting credentials. But we also have our existing programs like Access Tallahassee that really works with our young professionals And we also have our Tally Job Hop, where we're trying to recruit some of our students that are in town going to one of our fine universities to actually stay here and to show them that they can have a great job and a great life here in Tallahassee. So we feel like we really run the whole spectrum of talent.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's well said, running that spectrum, because as you said, there's so many different pieces to the puzzle when you're talking about creating that comprehensive workforce. And I really love, in particular, the Talent Hub platform that you all rolled out. And again, Corey, that's something that I know is a product that's used by a variety of other communities. It seems like something that's new to our market, though. Terrie, Corey, can you maybe tell us a little bit about how companies can engage with that? And, does it cost anything? What's the process like if you're Joe or Susie Chamber member and you want to get your company involved in that process?
Sure. Well, Jay, you're right. Talent Hub is a product that we are offering under Talent 2030. And when we started to brand Talent 2030, the team collectively came up with the tagline of Workforce Reimagined. And I believe Talent Hub is living up to that tagline. When we look at 18,500 new jobs that we have to ensure we have a talent pool for, we needed a product that would drive that. And Talent Hub is exactly that. So it's an online platform, a website that you go to. The URL is talenthub2030.com. And on this platform, it is designed to help several target audiences. So think about this as career seekers, businesses, and the education community. And let's break that down a little bit more. For a career seeker, you can go in and build a profile and look at what jobs are open or what training might you need to get a new job. For a business, you can set up a profile and you can take advantage of looking for skilled candidates. You can take advantage of training that is on Talent Hub that might help with your current talent pool, your current employees. There's position description templates that you can use. There is a plethora of resources. And it's pretty quick to create a profile, less than 5 minutes to go in and set that up. And I invite all of our listeners to go online today to talenthub2030.com, set up the profile and explore. Look at what the opportunities are and let us know if there's something more that you need, because we will be looking to bolt on to the tools and the resources that are in Talent Hub. And then for our education community, you've heard about Aspire and what we're looking to do to create pathways for post-secondary attainment. But we know there's a great partnership opportunity with Leon County Schools and Lively Vocational Technical Institute, and they are on board and looking forward to using the resources in Talent Hub. And Corey, I know we're championing all of our listeners to utilize Talent Hub. This is for all businesses, but certainly additional opportunities for our 1,200 plus chamber members.
Absolutely, Terrie. And one of the things that I love about it for our small businesses, our large businesses as well, but if you think about a learning management system that some of your bigger corporations have, you think Walmart, Home Depot, some of those, where there's learning in place that they either do pre-hire or onboarding for their employees. Basically, what Talent Hub has done is taking that same information and putting it in these courses that they have online for free for everyone. And now as a small business, you can tap into those same resources. So if you're looking to hire, you might even suggest, well, if you're looking for this position, you might consider going ahead and taking a food safety course or a financial literacy course or safety in the workplace, team building. These kinds of things that your larger corporations have in place are now available for all businesses to use. So you can suggest it, you can require it, Perhaps you go in and you look for people who are already taking these courses because they've shown the initiative and the interest. So the more I hear about, the more I learn about Talent Hub, it just amazes me to the extent that we can really use this platform. It's a learning management system. It's a job applicant and tracking system. It is an education system, but there is something for everyone. It is free for all. So we really do encourage you to get in and truly explore. I think you'll be really amazed at what you can find.
That's very cool. Again, playing around with the system a little bit myself, I know some of our staff's been going in there just to kind of familiarize ourselves with it. It's very impressive, and it's got a lot of functionality, and I think companies who are listening today would really benefit. Again, spend some time there, get to know the system, and I think you're going to find that it's a very useful tool, folks. Corey, again, maybe pivoting back to that talent pipeline management concept, maybe can you explain, what you think that means to our market and how that will work here? I know you talked about it a little bit earlier, but maybe go in a little bit more depth. I know you've got a couple of industries that you're focused on to get things started. Can you tell us more about that?
Yep, certainly. And so what I envision, and again, this is a concept that is in 33 states, multiple industries. In some states, it is a statewide program. So in the state of Kentucky, the whole state is doing this. Same thing, I believe, in Michigan. And you'll see things like Upskill Houston. So this is a program that we know works, that is very much customized to the community that they are in. And again, going back to this is employer driven. So the employers will make the decision on everything from what careers and jobs they're focusing on to who they're working with. But really, it's again, bringing the collectiveness of it. So if I was an employer and I knew that I needed 4 software developers, over the next 12 months, I could go and talk to our education providers, but it's a little bit more difficult to get them to do anything specific for me because I only need 4. But if I'm part of a collaborative and together we need 75 over the next 2 years, well, that means a whole something different, right? So not only can we now develop a program for that, but we can also say to a student who is considering this, hey, look, there's going to be 75 positions. And here's exactly what you need to do to get there. We've got these work-based learning experiences and everything wrapped around it so that it just makes it, I liken it to Ben and Jerry's. I mean, they pick out the specific cream that they want to go in that ice cream so that it's the best ice cream that there is. And that's what we want to do here. We are going to pick out the best and make it exactly what we want so that we have what we need when we want it and where we need it.
Maybe to kind of bring this all in for a landing, could you both just speak to, again, the scale of cooperation that's taking place in our community to address what our talent and workforce needs are? Again, the thing that you've both been incredibly consistent about since our very early conversations and meetings within our chamber leadership is that the only way we're going to solve these challenges and promote the opportunities is everybody in our community is involved. And even though we've got Talent 2030 sort of based here in our building with the Chamber of Commerce, it really entails a whole lot of everybody. So maybe could you both just speak to, again, the size of that cooperation that's taking place?
Sure. Well, I'd love to start with, the beginning in our research of best practices in other communities. And a year ago, when the Chamber determined that talent would be one of the 3 strategic priorities, Corey and I went out and researched other communities and other chambers, looked at 20 plus markets. And as we analyzed what's working and why are they best in class, it kept coming back to one answer, and that is the collaboration and partnerships. And we know how collaboration can make or break an initiative. And so I am so incredibly proud of the partnerships and industry support that is backing Talent 2030. I believe it demonstrates the alignment of priorities and resources in our region, certainly as we are all focused on ensuring prosperity for all of our citizens. And so this collaboration, over the past 90 days, we have had multiple meetings with our regional workforce, economic development, and education partners. And we can list those out, but I believe all the listeners know these entities very well and know how important they are to our region. That includes Career Source Capital Region, Tallahassee Community College, Lively Technical College, Leon County Schools, and the Office of Economic Vitality. Those are our key partners, but there's a list of a dozen more that are backing the important work that we are all doing with Talent 2030, along with our Chamber's great leadership. And Corey, I'll let you jump in and speak to our affiliates and our supporting organizations, because those are just as important.
Absolutely. It's a cliche, but it really does take a village. I'm so proud of the partners that we have and their willingness to not only be partners with us, but to help us learn. I mean, we spent 12 months just learning what is going on and how can we best fit in without duplicating, but just enhancing or growing. And, Tallahassee really is, one of the things that we've got on our side is that, we only have one municipality. We only have one school system. And so that makes it even that much easier in terms of coordinating efforts. So there is no reason that we can't make this happen and happen together. And everybody's been so good about putting their egos behind them and gathering together because we all have the same goal in mind, and that's to fill the talent gap, to provide jobs for our citizens so that everybody can earn a living wage. That's how we're going to break the cycles of poverty and really make a difference in our community. But yes, definitely. So within the chamber, we also, our Access Tallahassee, which works with our young professionals, certainly world-class schools, which has been in place for years, that works with our K-12 system here in Leon County. Leadership Tallahassee has jumped in and are really helping us as, again, just we connect with the different leaders in the community. So it takes us all, and we're just proud to be able to work with everyone.
Maybe to wrap things up, if I'm a business owner, operator, or I'm someone who's looking to engage maybe in a career change, where do I go if I want to learn more about this initiative? www.talenthub2030.com. Easy enough. And folks, you can also reach out to Corey, be on the lookout for Terrie and the great things that her and her friends at Moor are doing. We would love to have you engage in this process. Again, it's something that is critically important to the future of our community, and not just important to business, but important to our everyday citizens who are looking to shape or reshape their careers here in our community. If we're going to grow as a capital city, we're going to evolve into a place that works for all of our citizens. That starts with a job. That starts with something that gives people an opportunity to earn a bright and prosperous future. And I think we all can sit here and be proud of the work that in the cooperation and collaboration that's happening in our community with folks like Corey and Terrie helping lead the way. So thank you both for all the hard work you've been doing. I know it's been a few months or more in the process of this all coming to light, and now it's out in the world. I think we've got a lot to be proud of and still a lot of work to do.
A lot of work to do, but it will be awesome.
Thank you, Jay. What a great opportunity for all of us to help engage and elevate our business community even more.
Well said. And folks, thanks as always for listening in to the Tallahassee Business Podcast. We have such a pleasure having you listening in each and every week. We just love being able to bring these conversations to you, both as chamber members and future members of our organization. We thank you for all the hard work you do. We thank you for the support of the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce. And as always, if you want to find out more about membership or all the great programming that we offer our members, you can find that at our website. That's www.talchamber.com. That's TAL chamber.com. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we hope you will subscribe, hit that button on your favorite listening device, and leave us a review. Tell your friends about us so you can help share the word about everything that's going on here in our community. Thanks as always for listening. We will be looking forward to bringing you another conversation very soon. Take care.